George.
Hello.
Would you like to tell us about what you can offer us, please, in the village, given the demise of our fish and chip van?
Yeah. Well, it was very busy, wasn't it?
It was.
So that's a good start.
It
So
was
I own a company called Have a Slice Pizza. We're based in Bury, so we've got the old fish and chip shop that's just up from the co-op there on the triangle. It was a lockdown business, so we set that up in January 2020. I set it up from home. I was in full-time employment before, and when I went on furlough I decided to set my own business up. So we started selling pizzas out of our house. That quickly got quite busy through Facebook and other social media channels. And then we decided to buy a horse box with the money that we had. I converted the horse box in lockdown as a bit of a project. Amanda saw me building it some of the time in terms of drawing. And that we then secured a contract down in Bream, where we serviced kind of the main strip through Bream through the summer. And that obviously got very busy, so we bought another horse box which catered for events, weddings, conferences, things like that. And then came a time where I couldn't manage 2 horse boxes, but I wanted to do something different, so I bought the place in Bury and sort of fully refurbished that into a 7-a-day-week pizza business. I know Bob's very fond of our pizzas as well.
I can see.
Well, the fact that we pitched up outside.
Sorry, that's a cheap shot.
We pitched up outside the old post office where Caroline's was, and obviously being around the corner it was quite convenient, I think, for a few people. So we did a few pop-ups down the end of Brent Knoll last summer. And that was really successful. So at the moment we just kind of do weddings, events with the horse box, and we've got a local contract with the cider farm in Stone Allerton. So we do sort of cider and pizza evening up there with them once a month. And then yeah, it's sort of a great opportunity for us to sort of provide the locals with some sort of food to go on a weekday night preferably. So that'd be something that kind of we need to discuss, because obviously we've got a lot of bookings Fridays and Saturdays especially through the summer and Easter. So possibly a Tuesday or Wednesday night we could offer a sort of 3-hour slot to pop up in Brent Knoll and provide people with pizzas.
Okay, a couple of questions. Would it be, because tell us how you prepare them. Do you, if you like, make your dough, bring it all with you, and then sort of flatten it and fill it as people come in?
Yeah, so that's all made to order. So all dough's made in the morning, proofed throughout the afternoon, and then spun in the evening. So as and when people come up to the hatch, we spin the pizza as they order, prep it as they order, and then it takes 2.5 minutes to cook pizza in the oven. So we've got 3 ovens, so we do 3 in 3 minutes.
Now are they gas?
No, they're electric. So that's another talking point, is whether we could borrow some electric off somewhere.
Electricity
in return
is
for a fee.
expensive.
I've done my calculations.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be something we would need.
Requirement.
We do have a generator, but it's too noisy, obviously, late at night and things like that, I'm sure.
Okay.
We're a bit too noisy for the community.
Okay. If we provided you with some electricity, presumably we could bill you for the usage.
Of course, yeah.
Electricity.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect that for free. No.
Okay. There was a time, of course, when probably we would have said, yeah, okay, carry on.
I wasn't alive then.
Yeah. Okay, so, and is it possible that people could order them in advance with you at all?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we do pre-orders.
Yeah.
So we do say if someone wants to collect 4 pizzas at 7 o'clock, we can book that in. That's no problem. Obviously, it depends how busy it is. Because if you've got 50 people queuing up and you've got 10 pre-orders on, we'd have to put a limit on that. Say we're fully booked tonight, sorry.
Yeah, so you could say, well, as long as you book before X time.
Yeah, exactly, 24 hours in advance, 12 hours in advance, yeah.
Okay. And would you have some form of menus that you can get out to people that they
of course,
they could distribute them in the BKM and stuff like that?
Yeah, so our mobile menus are different to the shop, because obviously the shop's bigger premises, so we can prepare more ingredients. We do have, make that one on. Yeah. We have our standard menu, which is like that. So we can do some up a bit like this, which you just open the page, pick your size, your base, and then all your toppings. So we can print some of those menus and send them out to the local community and possibly advertise through the Brent Knoll News or something like that as well.
Lovely. Thank you. My last question, I'm sorry I've hogged it, but in terms of health and safety and food preparation, etc., you're all qualified and properly...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So all our staff are level 2 food and hygiene qualified. We've got a 5-star rating on the trailer and in the shop. We've got public liability insurance.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Any questions of George?
Just one thing, George. Do you plan to do maybe every Tuesday, Wednesday night over the first few months and then review things?
Yeah, happy to. Yeah, if that's what you'll do. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to just do it continuously as long as the trade is there and provides profit. Then we're happy to just carry on. Yeah, on a rolling contract or however you want to do it. With it signed for 6 months or yeah, no problem with that.
Yeah, I mean we gave the chip man about 8 weeks, didn't we, originally?
Yeah, to start off with,
to start with, to see, so he could see how it goes, and I think it's a matter of seeing how it goes. I think I don't know, what do you think about Tuesdays and Wednesdays? I mean,
if we do Wednesdays, we could have some supper in here.
We could.
Good thinking. Good thinking.
You can even deliver it to here.
Yeah, we're going to walk. Someone will have to walk round.
A whistle.
Good thinking. Any other questions of George? No, I think that's great.
Is that all right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah, we do cater for vegan and gluten-free as well. It's quite a big thing at the moment, especially veganism sort of thing.
Yeah.
So we provide vegan cheese and we do vegan pizzas, and we make our own gluten-free doughs as well.
Right.
So they're generally on pre-order, but we normally store about 5 or 6 in the trailer at a time.
Okay.
Yeah,
presumably you serve them out in a box of some form.
Yeah, it's all in compostable boxes.
Okay.
So they're all not biodegradable, compostable.
Good.
So yeah.
Great.
Could you send an email, do you think, with your details, so we
Yeah,
put on the agenda for the next meeting?
Yeah, we'll just summarise it for you.
Yeah, please, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, we as it's not on the agenda tonight, but it's good that we've met you. We'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting, which will be
On February the 1st?
February the 1st.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back to you
Yeah, no
with
problem at all.
proposals.
Yeah,
Right.
that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
Very nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you for having me. I'll
Thank
leave
you
you
very
to
much.
it.
Thanks for coming in.
I better go deliver some pizza.
Thank you. Bye. Bye. Okay, so we can open our formal meeting then now. Welcome everyone to our January meeting. I hope you've all had a good Christmas and wish you all a very happy New Year. First item, apologies.
David and Aid seem to be the two that had apologies from. David is unwell, and Aid is... Sarah. Sarah's the person I spoke to. All three are unwell, so...
Happy to accept those. Thank you. Declarations of interest.
Yeah, I've got the normal ORI declaration for Sedgemoor and the county. I also need to declare interest on the parish hall, and that will be prejudicial because the funding, the shop, I've got the dispensation, and just for an extra one this time, St Michael's. I'm a friend of St Michael's, so I'm declaring an interest on that one as well.
Personal interest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Need that page for the...
Sorry.
Myself as a shareholder on this shop.
Yeah.
Tracy
and Jane.
and Jane. Yeah.
And I'm a friend of St Michael's.
Yeah. Millie?
Myself on the Laurel Avenue,
Okay.
being a past resident.
Okay. Thank you. Right.
That's prejudicial, of course.
Yeah, you've all received the minutes of our December meeting. Are you happy that I sign them for the record? Can you signify, please? Thank you. Okay, planning. Yeah, take your coat.
Cheers.
So we've got Nick Draper from Sedgemoor House or
Sedgemoor District Council.
okay.
Do I have to leave now, Owen?
You can hang fire on Nick's part of it.
Right.
Only when we discuss it, you need to, don't sit in the cold.
Have all councillors managed to have a look at this one particular, please? Yeah.
So, do you want Nick to do his bit first?
Do you want us to show any of the plans at all? Nick, or?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fine if you'd like to. I mean, I can go through briefing notes that I've sent through previously if you'd like me to talk
Yes,
you
yes,
through it.
yes,
And then,
please.
Would anybody like any copies of that to have a look at, or?
Perhaps
Or
you
you-
circulate a couple around, yeah,
Yeah.
please. Perhaps,
Should we start?
yeah,
Not clever
the
enough to put it
locations.
all on one bit of paper, so.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I put one of these?
Of course, yes.
Right, okay. So this is a planning application that Sedgemoor District Council has submitted for a single detached two-storey dwelling in Laurel Avenue. Just as a bit of background, so this application forms part of a wider bespoke homes project that the council is undertaking that received budget approval from the council in March of last year. Essentially, Sedgemoor struggled for a number of years to house families that have specific needs or large families. Certainly the council doesn't have that type of stock, and developers and housing associations aren't providing that either. So we pulled together a project to try and meet those needs, and this scheme forms part of a package of planning applications that we've submitted. So we've already submitted 2 applications, one in North Pelleton, one in the Sydenham Estate, Bridgewater, and they're to extend void council properties that have come up and create larger bespoke homes. This one won't be a large home, but it forms part of that package to help fund some of the other schemes. So we've tried to make use of our existing stock, existing land, small infill sites, to package it all together to make, bring this bespoke project forward. So that's sort of the background to the application. 2 of the sites have been granted planning permission, so the ones I mentioned in North Pelleton and in Sydenham Estate, and this is the last one that's in the planning system at the moment. We've issued a tender out already for a contractor to bid for the work to build, obviously, the properties that we want. Whilst we appreciate we haven't got the planning outcome for this application yet, because we're dealing with families that have specific disabled needs, we wanted to try and push things along as quickly as we could to bring these schemes to fruition. So in terms of this planning application, number 12 Laurel Avenue, the large garden's been sectioned off, and we're looking to, as I say, build a single dwelling in that property. So the plans that you can see in front of you show a single dwelling to the left-hand side of that plot. That's mainly because there's a sewer that runs through the right-hand side of the boundary that needs a 3-metre easement, which has meant that we've had to push the building over more to the left of the plot than centrally where we would prefer it, obviously. We've tried to take reference in the design from the properties surrounding it. So as you can see from the street scene, we've introduced a gable end to the design, which we hope to try and create a hipped roof for it. The property, as it's narrow and long, we weren't able to introduce the hip to ultimately, but we've taken reference from a property at the beginning of Laurel Avenue, which has that gable front, and in theory it does. It's sort of 2 triangles, almost without front end. We've had discussions with the resident at number 12, because obviously the property is closer to their boundary, and we're going to make some improvements to the rear of that property to bring in more light that might be reduced by virtue of that property going next door, and that resident is perfectly happy with that arrangement. So we'd be inserting so as part of the planning application, I haven't put it on here, as part of the application that we submitted, it shows plans for number 12 to show what we're doing inside internally for that property. So that's to introduce a new window to the rear and open up the inside so that the light from that new window comes into the ground floor. You've created some off-road parking for number 12 already in readiness for this planning application. Because when we visited the site, we could see that the Laurel Avenue was quite narrow when we drive through. So we've already done that piece of work for number 12. And the intention is for this planning application to have 3 parking spaces off-road for this property. The property will be owned by the council. Homes in Sedgemoor will manage the property, and we're looking to apply, I guess you call it a sensitive local lettings policy to it, so that anybody that's in a silver or a gold band that's local in Brent Knoll can bid for that property, and they'll be first in the queue for that property. So our intention is that property will be allocated to a local family who are in need.
Do you have anybody in Brent Knoll that's...
I mean, we've identified that there is sufficient need for this property, yes.
From people in Brent Knoll?
Yes, yeah, from Home Finder, we've brought off some data around that.
Okay.
So in terms of sort of where we're at the moment, as I mentioned earlier, that the tender's gone out, that's closing, I think, the end of this week. We would then look, obviously, planning-wise, as long as we've got the support and the decision is approved, we would look to appoint the contractor during February, with a start on site maybe around March or early April time. We expect about a 6-month build for that. And going alongside that will be the other properties that we're doing as part of the overall Bespoke Homes project. They'll be following the same sort of timeline as well.
I don't know where your contractors' vehicles are going to park. I've no idea. Have you been down Laurel Avenue tonight?
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean that's something that obviously we would work with the contractor to see how we can minimise that. We think that because there's a good deal of land to the side of where we're proposing to build, that they would be able to drive in through there and park there whilst they're actually building the site. So, but that's something that we would discuss with the contractor at the time. Certainly, we wouldn't want to be blocking Laurel Avenue with vehicles.
Well, it's I mean, Melina knows Laurel Avenue far better than I, but I've been down there tonight just to check this one out, and I've never seen so many cars parked in a tiny cul-de-sac in my life. How they all live together without falling out,
They don't.
I just don't know.
No, they don't.
Absolute nightmare. It really is.
I lived there for over 11 years, and parking in the last few years, it's ridiculous.
Well, there were 6 cars parked actually in
the circle.
cul-de-sac. There were then another at least 2 or 3 cars in each of the houses round the cul-de-sac, and there were 2 further cars parked in the road. I mean, and then Julian's grass verge is obviously being used to park on at various times.
No, what happens is when they park, you know, you'll get one parked here and one parked here, and as you're exiting, you have no choice sometimes but to go up on the grass verge just to get in and out.
Yeah.
I've witnessed ambulances unable to get in,
Oh, I can.
and I, on a number of occasions, sat there in my car, and because my car's quite long, because I drive it from my wheelchair, I literally couldn't get through the slalom because of the length of my car without hitting something, and I've just sat there, honking.
Okay, well, I think I'm very much aware of that, but you've all had the opportunity to look.
I think that's Melina. I think.
Do I have
If
to
they're gonna
leave
discuss
now?
it-
Yeah.
If they're going to have a discussion, I'll
Yeah.
be able to.
Yeah. John, have you had a look at this?
Yeah, I may have missed it completely, but just clarify, is it 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms?
It's a 3-bedroom.
It's a 3-bedroom.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally.
I'm sure it's all, isn't it?
If you go down Laurel Avenue, there's what's his name? I've forgotten his name now.
The Talbot,
Yeah, what's
On
his
the-
name?
Julian.
Julian.
In
Julian.
Kennett House.
Julian's house goes down there, and there are 3 garages that are Julian's right at the bottom. Okay, this place is directly opposite those 3 garages.
Yeah.
There's and it's behind the first house, if you like, going down Laurel Avenue on the right-hand side. I can see it's a valuable plot. Sarah's done, I don't know if you've seen it, you probably haven't, but I'll read Sarah's comments. And she's given a brief outline of this planning, but she said, having viewed the plans and inspected the road and talked with some of the neighbours, there appears to be some material concerns regarding access and parking. The principle of development appears unchallenged, but the design of off-street parking is challenged and considered through actual experience in the street is likely to facilitate more on-street parking with already clearly constrained parking arrangements in a small cul-de-sac. I mean, those are her observations. The other thing which Julian Talbot at 127 does bring to light is that we are concerned that the new property would have sight into our back home and our garden, and we would like this to be taken into consideration. So I think there are some things that probably need to be looked at here. I understand
where the shed is on the picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
it's
directly
this
opposite.
house here.
Oh right. Okay.
Kennett House. It's
Right. Okay.
It's directly opposite your proposed your proposed piece of ground is where the fence is, if you like. That's
Right,
the width of
okay.
it. It's directly opposite
On the other
Julian's
side of the road.
garages.
Right.
Directly.
Okay.
Now, I don't know whether he uses those regularly or not. I have no idea. But I think it's something that should be investigated. In terms also, as he points out, and I think it should be highlighted, this problem of viewing from there right into his garden from the upper rooms, which would seem unfair. Those are Sarah's observations. I think if an ambulance went down there tonight to any of their houses, he wouldn't get there. He would not possibly get there. Given whether that was built or not, he wouldn't get there. But it still begs the question whether we've created one parking space for number 12, and you're creating 3 parking spaces for the new development. You will not get clear, if you look at the parking spaces on the planning, you will not get easy access for 3 cars. 1 car will have to move if they are parked on the, for instance, there are 3 parking spaces. 1 down the side of the house, 1 to the front, and 1 to the front of the house. So if you're parked in this site, you cannot get out if there's parking. These cars will be reversing out. It just doesn't seem to work for me. Nick, do you want to come back to us on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of properties that we're now seeing in developments that are coming forward, you're finding the parking is stacked in a lot of designs now. I mean, what we've obviously tried to mitigate is the parking on the road, and to future-proof that property so that when you have older children, for example, and they have a car, every child seems to have a car these days, that they'll be off the road. You know, how likely it is that a family would move in that would have 3 cars already, you know, I don't know. I wouldn't have thought that would be an initial issue, because it'd be a family with young children going in there. So, you know, I say we've made the attempt at level 12 to take a car off the road. And the same with this property, that we're taking all the cars off the road so that it enables that access through down into Laurel Avenue. I mean, obviously we can't do anything, you know, about the existing issues that are there, but we don't feel that we're adding to that issue by having that new building there. Okay. And the stacking is becoming more of a thing now.
It's a difficult one, this one. I can understand the need for a home, but it's in a bit of an awkward place, and potentially traffic generation will give more of a problem, and those are. And I don't want to predetermine, but additional excessive vehicular movement and parking in Laurel Avenue creating more obstruction to safe highway use and access properties, an acceptable impact on the residential amenity of occupants of nearby dwellings. In other words, could be overlooking on Julian's house and garden.
But is he not already getting sort of that from number 12 already at the moment? And I think there is like I'm not a planning expert, but there is I think a minimum distance from windows to back gardens. So, you know, that's something that we can make sure that we're achieving that minimum distance from a planning perspective, which I'm sure we are, given it's the other side of the road. But yeah, no, I understand their concerns.
So we need to bring this. We need to bring this to some form of conclusion. Does anyone want to add anything to what has been said? I need your guidance. I can't. It's unfair of me to propose something which when I don't know your feelings about it. So I'll ask you, John. Can I start with you?
Yeah, I think I'd concur actually with your thoughts there on access and parking and increased road traffic in what is already been highlighted as a problem. It's certainly not going to make it any better, in my opinion, and you're going to have vehicles swinging in and out right on the sort of tip of that junction. So I share your concerns about vehicular access.
Yes, I'd only add to that. I don't know if there's any other way it can be tweaked so that the parking, is there any way that the development could be, you know, shoved, if you like, so that the parking could be a little bit more, I don't know, because I haven't been down there and looked at the site, but it's just a thought. Because obviously it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, if we're trying to get 3 spaces in, then potentially we can put all 3 in front of the house. I would have thought, if that makes any difference.
I think we to be honest with you, we don't want to be awkward because we realise the job, but I think we need to have something in the village which suits the requirements of the village and the people that are living there. So it's not a case of being unhelpful, but we want something that is reasonable and usable, and that people will accept. I mean, I understand that you've got to put the property over there because of the drain that is running over there. So does that drain, because there is flooding, as you've probably read the notes, there's flooding down the end of the cul-de-sac. If it goes into that drain, will it perpetuate the flooding down there, or will it go out in a different direction?
It's going to, so there's already, well, unbeknown to us, there is a pipe that runs diagonally from number 12 across the back garden to the corner of the plot. So there's already, so number 12 is already going diagonally across to the corner of the plot. So the intention is we would just tap into that existing drain, and I mean, we've had.
And does that go into the rest of the development?
We haven't done a survey, not to the rest of the development. When you say the rest of the
i.e.,
development,
because I understand there is a problem in the actual cul-de-sac area of foul water and wastewater.
okay.
That's what we're told. Homes in Sedgemoor will know that heavy rainfall, the toilets in multiple houses don't flush and sewers flood onto gardens. That's from a person that lives in Laurel Avenue.
Okay.
So, sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, this is the reason for coming, is to listen to all these,
Yeah.
views and things, isn't it? So, it's not, that's why I'm here. But, those sort of things, I'm sure, Homes and Sedgemoor ought to be looking into why that's happening anyway, and not just, and I can see what issues have been raised, and how often that happens.
Okay. Right. Tracy, how do you feel about it?
That saying, the one you just read, made reference to it being an HMO as well, which I don't
Yes,
think
I don't know what HMO.
Well, that's
That's
actually
not-
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 yeah.
not-
Oh, right.
No, it's for a family. It would be for a family.
So I'm
Yes, I've taken a lot of that with a pinch of salt,
Yeah.
because it's not related to planning. The thing that's related to planning is the potential of flooding in the houses, or an unsatisfactory waste disposal, foul water or rainwater disturbance. So that is a planning thing. Vehicle access, emergency vehicle access, but everything else is really not really relevant. Okay.
It's already a very difficult road to get out of. I needed to park there for something once, and it was incredibly difficult to get out of. So if you've got more vehicles coming and going, I just think there could be a risk of an incident, because things do come around the corner quite quickly, and it's, your sight isn't very good there already. So
Malcolm.
I think that the comments that have been made this evening are very relevant and should be taken into consideration.
Yeah, and I agree with Malcolm. Yes, yeah.
Well, it seems to me, and please don't take this against us, but it seems that we should refuse this application at this moment in time. Whereas we support the fact that we need housing for